life speak? Is it true?
Today I'm going to talk with Canela Meyers. Hello, Canela.
Hello, Reenah.
Hi. We've talked a bit previously, and we both discovered that we have experienced similar things, as in abuse, shall we say.
Do you feel that that there's been a gift in the violence that you've experienced in your life? That that you have gone through as a child, a teenager, and a woman, when it was harsh and rough, has that? Do you see that as having been of benefit to you now?
Well, I see it as you mentioned before. I see it now as an invitation to openness, and it's a gift in the sense that it gave me a very rich and varied life that I would have never had or experienced should my life have been any different. It's like I can't imagine that my life would have been any different than what it is, and I don't want to sort of make up too much of a story about it, other than that I can say that my life is not devastated because of it. And
I know that for myself as a child, when I didn't know where I was going to be attacked from, I was always attempting to be aware, and so awareness, as a child, really expanded because I needed to be safe, to attempt to be safe. Because I was wanting to know if something was going to come behind me and hit me. So it really, just out of survival, made awareness very sharp and very.
The sensory perception is definitely stronger and deeper. There's just always an awareness right around the body, right around the system, for sure.
Even if they're not making a sound, you can sense when someone, even in body or not, I can sense people contacting me, like I think Richard and I were, even though he's way over there in Thailand, I, out of the blue, sort of remembered, because I'd completely forgotten that we were going to meet or something. I can't even remember what happened, but out of the blue, all of a sudden it just popped in, and I immediately went, and there he was. He just sent me an email 3 minutes before, right? It's like stuff like that, and I don't know whether that is partly because of, needing to survive the terrain, so to speak.
I have those sort of experiences also. I feel sort of quite tuned into things, just before they're going to happen, or know if things are happening simultaneously. I would say that one of the greatest gifts, the deepest gift, is realizing I don't have to carry a story.
Yeah.
That's a really big gift.
Yeah, for myself too, I guess in the support that I offer with other people, I'm not afraid to go through anything with them. And because I know I can, because I have with myself, right? It's just, so I mean, I know that you said that, that I was really chuckling inside because you said I'd like to be a devil's advocate. And I'm like, well, that's good, because I like to support people to go through hell and back. So it makes sense. Whatever their hell is, it really is. It looks like hell to open to what happened as a child when people don't have clear memories, or and it's not about having a clear memory. It's about releasing the energy that's even provoking the desire to explore this stuff. But then we can go through whatever it is together. I can be with them without any, with full confidence of being able because of what I have brought myself through. So in a way, it's been a real gift to me in that way. As well as, it's really clear cut, right? If there was alcohol, if there was rape, if there was, physical, emotional, sexual abuse, that's all completely obvious once I learned what that was. It's been nice and clear, because then I could go through and deal with all these different parts and go, oh, okay, well, maybe that's right. I have them all sort of out in the open. Whereas some people, they have stuff like control and emotional stuff, which is a lot, it's tricky. It can be just as devastating. But yet it's trickier to find if there wasn't actual physical or sexual abuse.
I guess we're both not afraid of intensity of feeling or emotion, and I find that's what's different. Once I encountered the feelings in my body, and they're intense feelings, aren't they? They're really very, very intense waves, intense pulsations moving through the body. The beauty of that is that you can feel all sorts of things intensely. You feel your passion intensely, and it's not so scared, because otherwise, before I was living life on a certain level, passion will go there, and fear will go there, or whatever,
It almost seems like, when I look at this, like we're kind of celebrating what happened. And what a different way to be with this. I really like it. I really like that, to be able to say yes to this, because, of course, it's collectively a big no. And it's not to, like I say, condone any kind of violence or trespassing against people at all, but it's, if it has happened, I mean, I know that Helen Hughes, she had said, if you've been given lemons, make lemonade. And so, with what's happened, to be able to, like, I know that when people were angry and they unleashed their anger on me as a child, I feel later when I started working with energy, that I was actually initiated with their energy, their anger, because, at first I thought that, what was the matter with me? Why didn't I fight back? But as a child, I just didn't know. I just received it, right? I just curled up or whatever. I never fought back or tried to stop them. I just received it. And then I was like kind of mad at myself for a while, well, why didn't I fight back? Why didn't I try to stop them? I tried to avoid it starting, but once it was started, I just took it. And later I realized, what, I think I was getting initiated by their energy, and that has really helped me to be able to handle great amounts of energy. Everything is very much in the moment. There's nowhere, I mean, it's true, I think you pointed to that earlier, that I did have a tendency to leave my body and just go above my body when stuff was happening. Did you too?
When I was a bit older, I could actually, while it was happening, stayed in my body. Earlier on as a child, I would leave my body, but then I actually stayed there, because I felt like somehow I could do that, and that I could receive this powerful force. It's not something I consciously did. It was just a noticing that that's what happened. It was just a real noticing. And so much I heard people say, well, you must forgive the people who hurt you. For me, that's always the easy part. Forgiving them was easy. It was always forgiving myself for carrying the story for so many years is the part that was difficult,
Yeah, I kind of, forgiveness, I can understand basically what was happening for them. And so it makes that they're totally innocent. I understand that. So in a way that, I mean,
totally innocent. I get that.
Forgiveness kind of, when it actually occurs, it's not like there's anybody doing it. It's more like the understanding comes in and the whole thing just lets go of itself.
Yes, and that came for me through seeing the innocence of the people physically hurting me. You know, it's like you said, it's really seeing their innocence and seeing it and just knowing that in that moment they really don't know
They've lost it.
any better. They've lost it, and in a sense, without trying to justify or condone, like you say, the behaviour, they're doing the best that they can in that moment. I can say that now as someone who has gone through a very, very heavy experience, because like we said before, some people might say, yeah, but you haven't gone through this. Well, I can say that, you know, I really sit in a position where I can say this, that I saw their innocence, and you know, once you see that, like you say, it lets go of itself, and then it's just like finding ways to handle the body to receive the force, you know, to be as gentle as possible, and not going into a story, but somehow, you know, like they say in Chinese Tai Chi, you know, receive the force of the tiger and push away. So it's sort of receive the energy and dissipate it. So
I like to suggest that they receive the energy because it's already in. If they're aware of it at all, it's already in, but it's to relax the body so open that it can continue its journey and release itself, as if we as people are really like, you know, the pebbles in a riverbank, and the energy is like the water running through and across the pebbles. That yes, they might have an effect and make this, you know, turn the pebbles and move them around somewhat, but to let that energy fall through and relax open as best you can to that. And what isn't just energy or is there to be a gift will show up in the moment. You know, we'll create maybe one spot that's energy kind of stops or something like that, and then it might touch what it's found that's like itself, and then you can open to that, and then it's a gift of healing, you know, healing the system, supporting healing. But yeah, there's a total difference with being able to say and speak about stuff, not just from something that's written in a book, but through actually having directly experienced and, you know what forgiveness really is in your own experience. Because it looks like something quite different before it's experienced.
Yes.
You know, mind can get a hold of that and make it want to look like this and, oh, you know, pious or something. You know, I know Mother Teresa did lots of really loving, loving support to many, many people. But she forgot herself. In a way, she went so far, I suppose she did feel she was loving herself, but some of her strict ways don't seem very loving to me. And so, you know, I'm not like that.
Forgiveness to me has always been about a release of the story, because it's actually not possible to, when you think about it, to forgive another person, right? You can only release your story around it, your belief around it, and that's really what's happening.
As in the other person, as a human being who's only responding the best he can, you know, or she can in the moment. Exactly that. And then, you know, I like to look at the word of it, forgive. You know, give them some space to be human. And there, that's forgiveness. Yeah. And you're right, there's nothing to forgive because they're already human. But it's basically we give ourselves freedom in just recognizing the innocence of the other, even in the most atrocious happenings. And I wanted to just point about that. I know for myself, because it was different when you're saying that you allowed yourself to experience some violence where you stayed in the body. And it took me a long time. I thought that, oh, I didn't need to actually experience what it felt like in the body. I was safe in this blue light above my head. That I kind of felt a little triumphant that, oh yeah, well, you can't hurt me, kind of thing. That's just my body. I realized I needed to come in to the body in those moments of the happenings and let myself feel the physicality of what occurred. And it was still just waiting there. It's just amazing. I mean, how this system works, isn't it just unbelievably fascinating? How does it, stay in that limbo until I'm ready to drop into the body and feel the havoc of what happened, not being numb to it.
I really like what you just said then, Canela. I wonder if you could say that again and just allow it to come out a different way again, because that's a really great point.
The allowing.
Yeah, just how wonderful, how wonderful are our systems that they allow us to, to split off and then just drop in when we're ready. I guess for me, because it happened so many times, it just naturally dropped in finally, you know what I mean? And I guess it felt ready, because it's not like I feel like it was something I consciously chose to do. But certainly while I was in the body, it took me only a day to recover from this experience, whereas normally, like receiving it in the body, whereas normally it would take me like a couple of years over, a lifetime, so to speak, for us, I know, but I mean, I guess that's just how it was.
I just totally just love that when you say that. But yeah, that's right. There does seem to be some sort of rhythm within ourselves of how we work with and deal with ourselves. What I like to call, I like to call that our way of being. And then we get to know ourselves and how we support ourselves and how we can support ourselves in new spaces but what the part that I find so fascinating, especially after I've opened to it, is that these apparent happenings that happened when I was a little girl would still be present today in some way, shape, or form. Like they're still a part of me now. Of course, I've opened to as much as I have. I don't really know if more will come. And I trust my husband to provoke those alive somehow, or maybe it'll be in some other way. I don't know, but it doesn't happen as often as when I first, understood that healing can happen, that I can bring harmony to the system, and then it was a matter of just when it got provoked alive, I could be with it. And I learned how to be, and it's always new and different and all that. But that's the part that's fascinating, is that we could hold on to different, and I love myself as a little girl, because the way that I held on to it, the way I coped, and the ideas and the beliefs that got formed, I mean, they're just so amazing, really, and sweet, that of course, and of course I wouldn't be able to think of them with my adult mind, because there's just much more reasoning and whatever that is I don't know. Anyway, I'm delighted by the innocence of her when she shows up, and when I'm able to be with her even more, and then even more, and therefore embody that innocence in myself as an adult. Because that's what it is, really. It's we're holding ourselves away from ourselves. And then we open up to going, okay, so life is actually different than what I was taught. That it's not just about coping with it and, getting the house and the white picket fence, oh, it's this energy at play? Wow, right? And I feel, I really, right in this moment, I feel so grateful that we're having this conversation, because for yourself and for myself, nobody told me about this stuff. I was faced with it. It's in my face because it was right with me, and yeah, I would have loved to have known a little bit about this so I could have some more confidence, I suppose. I just see the benefit right now of people hearing this, and perhaps the confidence that they can hear that you went through this stuff and you're just a regular person, and I went through this stuff and I'm just a regular person, and they can too. And we can point to these little bits and pieces, and it won't be exactly the same, but they can find their way to bring harmony to all these situations that they feel a victim of.
13. Richard and I met on the 1st of January 2012, and you know, what an amazing year. You know, like, yes, he does have the availability, but I think, you know, what really shifted for me was we've been great for each other. We're really quite different, and I'm really very, very deep feeling person, and Richard is a great expresser, you know, and really good with words and really good with a lot of words too, and so somehow we've really invited a lovely balance into each other's lives. Like Richard's really dropping into his feeling a lot more, and you know, he does have that availability, which I really appreciate. And for me, I've come into expressing myself more, which I needed to verbally, you know, coming into using words, which I was so afraid of because I thought I only needed to feel, and that's all I need to do.
I hear you there. I hear you there. It's especially some of the violence happened around my mouth, right? So it's been an opening to move this energy and allow something to allow myself to share, because that in particular, the violation there seemed to make it dirty, my mouth, and I would always say the wrong thing, you know. So I shut up. I stopped sharing. And plus my world looked so different than other people's world that I don't know, it just seemed like people didn't understand what I was saying. So it's been quite a process of my opening. And I'm really thankful in what I'm hearing that Richard is, you know, in somehow, it's really you that's supporting yourself to open and share who you are and how you feel and how you think and all that. And it's to great benefit to everybody. I mean, so I feel very thankful that you are sharing who you are and from your experiences as a human being.
And you know, another part of sharing too is making the word matter. Before, the words, like I mentioned to you before, didn't have much weight. They're just words, you know, like we talk about, you know, we want to have a peaceful world, yet we don't have a peaceful world. And so why can't we make our words matter more, you know, like what we say actually show up in our life? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I feel, you know, the words also had a very bad rap, if you like, you know, because don't get too caught up in words, because, you know, words are meaningless, because we, you know, really exist in this other dimension, the formless dimension. Well, you know, really it's all inclusive, right? And the words are part of that.
If words are wrecking it, it's not it. You know, it's like, yes, and I understand that there can be, you know, a wonderful, but there's also, words can be completely included, and that felt sense of the spaciousness happening simultaneously. It's when the words, and we allow the words to fall freely of their own accord without being touched by the mind, that they're just part of the spaciousness itself, the expression, you know.
And expression is so important for us, and women, you know, we can create so much with our word too.
And actually to you specifically, I would like to say, because of the different types of experiences that you've had, there hasn't been a lot of sharing from, you know, maybe for me too, and maybe I just recognize it in you, I don't know. But there hasn't been a lot of sharing about how to make it through and bring harmony to strongly violent experiences. You know, and some you know, if we were to compare, I'd still say that your experiences are probably more horrific than mine.
It's funny how we do that, isn't it?
But in a way, you know, it must matter too, right? Because it's like I saw a woman on the side of the road in India, and she had one part of an arm and no legs, and her torso and her head. And you know, I was just walking by, and it turned around, and she just happened to look at me, and I looked at her, and we connected completely. Both of us grinned at each other and just felt this beautiful connection of life, you know. And I felt so happy that she has, you know, that she's in this incredible acceptance that she could meet like that. Like a lot of the people there, they weren't meeting me like that because I was a Caucasian woman in India. I guess, you know, I don't know what that meant to people, but there she was, totally available. And yet at the same time, when I looked at it later, because it, you know, it really touched me, and it still touches me now, even as I share this, what an amazingly strong soul she must be, right? That soul of that woman to come into a life, however all of this happened. I mean, to be in a disfigured body that she probably makes really good money as a beggar, and at the same time to actually live a life through being people shying away from her because of the deformities and you know, so I guess I see you as a great soul in what you've shared of what you've gone through and how you can be here today and speak and share from your own direct experience, because as we've spoken, I don't know, this will probably be the third or fourth time, it's in the direct experiencing that brings the power to these containers that we call words. That's what I like to call the word. A word can be completely full of strength and power, regardless what the word is, when it's spoken with direct experience included. Then it becomes the truth. It's a container for truth that we can actually share with each other. And so valuable.
Thank you, Canela. You know, it's been such a gift to talk with you and to share with you and feel the resonance between us and our experiences. And I hope that this sharing can support and inspire some other people perhaps who've had similar experiences.
They actually aren't victims. They can just use the surface details to see where the energy is attached in the system of the human being and feel it, open to it, and see what it reveals to the person, because it may release, it may not, just like what you were saying, that sometimes you open to the pain and it doesn't actually release itself or dissipate. But there'll be some sort of, would you say that's true, that you've always found some sort of great gem when you've been willing to open to that?
Yeah, well, actually, for me, it always released when I found the story. So often I would open to it and, you know, it would go on and on. And the shift for me came when somehow I stumbled across the story and I saw that there was a dialogue somehow that I was believing that was going with it. And you know, other times that wasn't necessary, but you know, I found I always got my biggest shifts when I found the story that went with it. because that's what keeps it going, because it really, the experience is in the past. It's not here now. And even though I would feel it in the system, being such a deep feeler, I would feel it deeply and intensely, yet somehow it would just keep repeating. I didn't know why it kept repeating. Yeah, we really need to feel it. Like you said, it's the feelings will lead the way, in a sense.
Yes. Yeah, I guess they call it the emotional.
Thank you, Canela. It's been so lovely to talk with you.
It's probably here on the tape, this nice feeling. I can see you're feeling it too. It seems like, anyway. I should always check it out, because of course I can't know, but there is definitely a lovely softness. Apparently violent things that have happened, and yet there's such a gentle, soft, loving energy here right now. In just simply opening and being willing to speak about these kinds of happenings. That's good. I was tempted to actually say to people that maybe, you know, if they feel afraid to go through different stuff, that they could contact you. Or are you available to that? Are you available for sessions with people? Sorry, I can't hear you.
I'll put it, yeah, sorry. I never thought about doing sessions with people, but sure, I guess I would be open to that. Yeah, I'm always open to talking to people. Anyone who wants to contact me and talk, I'm, you know, open to that. Just sharing from my personal experience is all I can do.
Yes. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Valuable, right? It's like, in being willing to support people to, if they share with you, then it makes it, they themselves give you the pieces and how you can help or support them to open up to, right? But because you've been sort of trained with how to deal with your own self, it makes it easier to hear what they're up to in the midst of when they share the story.
Yeah.
So I do a few sessions a week, and it's people from all over the world, and it's just whatever it is that you've gone through, people who need support in that kind of aspect, they find you. And but I totally recommend that you charge for it. You could charge a smaller amount, whatever you're comfortable with, just to get the energy rolling, to sort of start your practice, so to speak, you know, the container of what you're offering, and then expand it as you feel more confident about supporting people in your own experience.
But honestly, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Because people who have had stuff happen, they aren't going to want to go to somebody who doesn't know what the heck they're talking about or what it might have felt like, you know, even though it'll always be different.
In the poetry of space and time.